Hi, everyone. Welcome to Throughline Thursdays here on LinkedIn Live. I'm your host, Neha Malhotra, and I am head of recruiting here at Bay1 Solutions. So glad you could join us on your lunch hour today. Thank you. Thank you. I've had the privilege of hosting Throughline series where we've had amazing leaders come on and talk about their awe-inspiring career journey. Today, we have a very exciting guest and an exciting talk with Stephanie Urteaga. She has had a really amazing career journey and will talk about how to build a career in product management. Stephanie is Director of Customer Experience Product Management at Albertsons Companies, currently focusing on creating a best-in-class and frictionless transactions experience for online grocery delivery and pickup customers. She has more than a decade of experience with an e-commerce product, managing customer experiences end-to-end, including back-end order management and customer support systems, as well as content production and catalog management. When Stephanie is not solutioning customer problems, and optimizing the way customers shop for groceries online, she enjoys spending time with her 5-year-old son, as well as pretending to understand Minecraft and teaching him how to swim. That is so cute. Welcome, Stephanie, to Throughline.
Thank you so much, Neha, for having me today.
Thank you for coming. We're so excited to have you on. Thank you so much for doing this.
Anytime. Excited for our conversation.
Great. So Stephanie, we had a webinar last month on the future of product management and had some heavyweights in the product management arena come and talk about the role itself. We heard from the speakers that product management is an art, product managers are storytellers. I can't wait to hear your view and for you to further demystify this role of product manager and also go into how to build a career in product management. So please tell us how you began your career and how you got into product management. I know you have a very unique and interesting story.
Yeah. I think I have had quite the atypical journey into product. I was a political science major, so I did not have a computer science or engineering degree. I thought I wanted to be an attorney for many years, for as long as I can remember growing up. And I ended up after college working as a paralegal in San Francisco for a couple of years to ensure that I thought law was really the way to go. And I realized that although I think I would have loved going to law school and the art of law school, I think practicing and not having that work-life balance that was really important to me to maintain, I really ended up making a pretty massive career shift into taking those skill sets that I learned being a paralegal and managing cases into managing IT projects. So I moved to AT&T and telecommunications, and I was an IT project manager. And I moved my way up through kind of that arena into program management, ultimately managing a team of IT project and program managers, and then ultimately moving to a startup, which back then was called Grocery Works or Safeway.com, running their IT PMO. So it was really there where I had an amazing mentor, and she was recently hired as our director of product, which product was a fairly new discipline back then. And I really realized through working with her and really kind of establishing our mentorship relationship, that product was really where I wanted to be. I wanted to transition managing kind of other people's visions and executing on that to really creating my own vision and strategies around how to really optimize amazing, and delightful customer experiences. And, she was really the one who got my foot in the door and gave me that shot as my first product management position.
Yeah. So you pivoted from a very different career in law. How did you translate those skills into product management?
Yeah, I think anytime you're thinking about making a career shift, and I was actually just talking to a friend of mine about this the other day who, really has spent a majority of her career in marketing and was thinking about product. And I think there's so many skills that product brings to the table that you can foray from other, career areas. And it's really, I think, those soft skills like clear communication and, really just loving to solve problems, right? And developing customer experiences, even backstage experiences for, your internal folks, being super detail oriented. There's so many skills that I think you can translate into a product career. And that's really what I did. I tried to figure out, moving from law into IT and then ultimately into product, what skills actually translated well to that next, career arena that I wanted to take.
Yeah. And you talked about, you had a great mentor in your career. Can you talk about some of your experiences with mentorship in your career, whether it's experience of you being mentored or mentoring others?
Yeah, I'm really passionate about mentoring, and ultimately, I think the best term I think is more sponsorship, but really building a great relationship or two with those that you can really learn from, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be in the product space, right? If there's someone in your organization that you really respect and admire the way they conduct themselves or present or whatever that may be. I feel like, you can always develop those mentorships to really grow your own skill set and learn something new. But it's been really those mentorship relationships for me that has kind of catapulted me in my career over the course of the years. And I think really establishing those early in a really genuine and authentic way really help you along in your journey.
Yeah. Sometimes we're shy about asking for mentorship and solicit that. What is your advice around it? Should it be somebody unknown or, someone that someone from your network?
I have a couple of suggestions here. I think a lot of companies are really realizing the importance of mentorship and sponsorship. And I would say first, look internally. See if your company has a program that maybe you're not aware of, or maybe they don't, communicate very broadly. So I would say start there, because I think they already have potentially a network of folks that are already signing up to be a mentor, which is a great first start. If that is not available to you, I think that talking with friends of friends or reaching out to someone that you really admire in your organization. And again, that doesn't necessarily need to be in product. That could be in data analytics or marketing or, whatever area you think might be, important for you to maybe learn more about. And I would say start with a more informational conversation about it versus going right in for the request, because I think building those relationships first and then soliciting kind of the mentorship or sponsorship, I think has gone really well for others in the past.
Yeah, that's great advice. Now, Stephanie, everybody wants to be a product manager these days. Everybody wants to get into product management. Recruiters in my team are looking for product managers. So they're like, well, this is a great career. Can we be product managers? What is your, or why do you think that is? There is such a surge in demand in product management careers. Why do you think that is these days?
Yeah, shameless plug. I do have one opening on my team for a senior/principal role within transactional. So if you're interested, reach out on LinkedIn. But no, really, I think, product has really come a long way in the last, 10 years. And I think the discipline, has really been shaped in a much more solid way. And to your point earlier, you said product management is an art, and it actually is, right? And I think a lot of companies that maybe didn't have a product team or a product organization are realizing the immense value that the product skill set and discipline brings to how they launch solutions, right? And whether that be for businesses or customers, I think it really is amazing, the product process and how it ultimately translates into these amazing experiences that truly delight, whoever your audience is, right? And so I love the fact that, I'm constantly hearing of, hey, we've been around for a while. Companies have been around for a while, but they don't have product in their organization. And I love hearing that, more and more companies are realizing the value that product brings to the table and incorporating that into really how they launch products and how they set strategy and vision for the future of their business.
Yeah. So you all are visionaries in essence. How can one jumpstart a career in product management? And, if you could give our viewers practical advice on what schools or training programs to look into as a beginner, and, how they could get into product management.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I would say first, I would say the easiest path would be to transition internally at your current company, right? Making those relationships, making your career aspirations known around moving into product, maybe even carving out a bit of time in your current role to shadow another product manager on the side, right? Just to kind of see a day in the life of a product manager and ensure it's the right transition for you. So I would say start there. Secondarily, I think, looking for a more kind of junior associate role in a kind of mid to large company is also another great option. Or even looking at startups where you might be able to get into a startup in your current role, but knowing that in startups, you typically often wear multiple hats, you probably might have, a multitude of, arenas that you could kind of foray into the product space and really get that hands-on experience without having the official title just yet. And I think there's a ton of great schools out there, and obviously everything is online now with, how we've dealt with the last year. Product School, General Assembly have amazing kind of initial courses for product to really get your feet wet. And there's so many amazing organizations out there, Women in Product, the Network of Executive Women, and those both have women in the title, but are so open to all men and women. And they have amazing sessions, just like kind of what you're hosting here today, Neha, that really help you understand, really how to go about, moving into the product space or, leveling up in your career. And I would say, keep your eyes out for those, sessions, because a lot of them are free, right? And, get yourself into those networks and really take advantage of everything that's out there that, that they're offering right now.
Yeah, that's really very good advice. Especially these trainings are out there, they're free, anybody can access it. I think that it's easy to, tap into these resources. I actually read this meme about product management, and it goes, "What's the hardest part of being a product manager?" And it's explaining what you do to your parents. So please shed some light on your day-to-day as a director of product management, and also when you were a senior product manager, just your day-to-day responsibilities to give us a better idea of what product managers do.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I actually ask sometimes in interviews that exact same question. Describe product manager to me if you were describing it to a 10-year-old. It's interesting the answers we get. But, I think as a director, my role has shifted quite dramatically from kind of being in the day-to-day weeds of, being a product manager and leading a particular initiative to launch, right? I think that I spend a good amount of time really just honing in on kind of that service leadership to my team, making sure that, everything that we're working on and driving is aligning to that kind of larger vision and strategy, and really always kind of pushing the team outside of their comfort zone to develop those delightful moments for our customers, and really unblocking any risks or issues or prioritization concerns that they may have, and also coaching, right? So I kind of like to think of myself as a bench coach. I'm kind of constantly working to communicate with my team around not only areas of opportunity that they may have, but ultimately making sure that I'm aligning opportunities for them to ensure that we're moving their career forward, and really having those regular conversations. So that's a lot of my day-to-day, and just again continuing to drive toward what that future vision is going to be for our various area, and ensuring that we've got all of the right data, and constantly looking at competitive research and analysis, collaborating with our UX and research partners, to really define how we want to differentiate ourselves in our space in the upcoming quarters. And right now we're working on a pretty massive 3-year plan. So really thinking really broadly about what is going to be important, in the coming years.
Yeah, and that's great advice. And this question that I'm going to ask you next is going to be super valuable to a lot of folks. Folks that are seeking to level up in their career, mid-career in product management. What can you tell them, how to level up?
Yeah, I think each career journey is unique. And whatever that means for you is quite personal, right? That could mean moving to the next level. It could mean, maybe managing a team. And I really think that it's important to, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, really finding those sponsors and mentors that, can really help you open those doors toward that next level. And also really ensuring that you're making your career aspirations known to your manager, and having those regular conversations, because it should be a really two-way conversation around how to open up those opportunities for you, to ensure that you're feeling super fulfilled in what you do every day, and ensuring that you're moving to the next level, whatever that may be for you.
Yeah, it's knowing your skills and your superpower, and it's your North Star. And you'd also mentioned that you may not be into managing people, so just kind of knowing that and making that known to your manager. What skills, and this is actually my favorite question, what skills do you think are underrated in product management roles?
Yeah, so I think this is a really important one for product, because the process of, the agile process that I think most companies are following now around product management is somewhat similar, and that can be learned, right? Learned, honed, etc. I think it's really the soft skills that really make a great product manager. And a few that really come to mind for me are how you build and develop relationships, and really be authentic in those relationships, and the ability to really lead through influence versus authority, right? Because product is all about typically working very cross-functionally with a number of different partners. And, you're going to have to bring a lot of those folks on board, right? We call it kind of your elevator pitch.
Right.
How do you bring customer or, your stakeholders on board to ensure that they're aligning to the vision of your initiative, and really doing everything possible to help you launch a fantastic product. And I think communication, clear and often communication, those are, I think, 3 in particular that come to mind. And I think also just really leading with empathy. Whatever role you may be in, right? Whether it be a junior role or a director, really leading day to day with empathy, and really being an active listener to those that you're engaging with, And, again, really just building those amazing relationships, I think, is what translates from what I've seen into a fantastic product manager.
Yeah, our previous guests as well mentioned empathy, intellectual curiosity as the number 1 and 2 skills in product management. So it's just amazing. And also journaling, writing, those skills are super imperative. I want to ask you just reflection on your career. What are some of the conscious choices you've made to safeguard your happiness and well-being at work?
Yeah, I think it probably first started with my transition out of the law arena. And that was highly indicative of the fact that I knew that post law school for many, many years, I would be kind of a slave to my job. And I wanted to ensure that I could safeguard the ability to, have a really balanced day to day, and that it potentially would include, building a family and being able to spend time with friends and, maybe not working all the time on the weekends. And, that was kind of my first big shift. And that was a big one for me because I always thought I would be an attorney for as long as I could remember. And I think, the second shift that I really just had to really own is, being in a director role, did I want to move to the next level, right? Did I want to be a head of product or a VP of product? And for me, I love being in the director, kind of senior director space, because it enables me to not only continue to have that work-life balance, but also stay close enough to kind of the day-to-day with my team. And I love that, right? I love to be in design reviews and, trying to figure out, how to really build this amazing product. And I feel like as you get a little bit higher, you're dealing with new challenges, right? And often sometimes are in the details, but I just really wanted to stay true and authentic to what I really love doing in product and just kind of own that, right? And ensure that I was staying close to, again, close to my team and close to those details.
Yeah, that's amazing. That resonates a lot in, the fact that you want to spend time with your son. You've made that conscious, decision, and that's very admirable. Which brings me to my last question, and this is Throughline series. I have to ask you, what is the through line in your career? What has remained the same for you while everything else has changed around you?
I think that's a great question, considering the last year we've had in, the COVID pandemic. And I like to tell my team, change is the only constant right now. And it's really all in the way you react to that. That really makes the difference. But I think, what I've really tried to stay true to while everything around me is changing is really how I like to lead, how I like to engage. And despite maybe changes in the organization or growth in the organization, changes in leadership, I think always being true to the fact that if you need to have a difficult conversation, that you do it. And you can always do that in a respectful way, but really leveraging your skills and your communication style to have those difficult conversations. Because I think, I've always kind of prided myself on the fact that I never want to be a yes person, right? If I need to have that difficult conversation, I'm going to have it. And I really do believe that it's those conversations where you might have some dissension, and product folks deal with that all the time, right? That really drive innovation and amazing success in the products that you're building.
That's amazing. Thank you for those gems, Stephanie. We have some questions from the audience. Anuj wants to ask you, would you recommend any certifications for product managers, product owners?
Yeah, I think that when you are initially moving into a product role and really wanting to take that leap into product, those certifications can come in really handy on your resume to even get you a seat at the table, for that kind of junior role. So, I would highly look at, product school I mentioned, and General Assembly. Both, I believe, have certifications that you can go through, and they're all online now, which is amazing. So definitely look at that, especially if you're kind of looking to move into a career in product.
Thank you for that. Another LinkedIn user wants to ask you, can you talk more about leading with influence and how to move things forward with people that don't directly report to you?
Yeah.
Question.
This is definitely an art, right? Because every team, and Albertsons has gotten so big in the last year, just given the pandemic demands that we've had to respond to for online delivery and pickup. And so we're dealing with more people now than ever, right? And every team has their own priorities. So I do really think that this all boils down to those relationships that you build, right? Even before you need something from, say, a new stakeholder, get to know them, right? Carve out time to understand their area and maybe their concerns, or how you might be able to help them before you have to ask for help in the other direction, right? So I do think this is really coming down all to relationships, and again, really being clear and concise and tying it back to the why. Why are you trying to build this product? Not just what do you need? It's really tie it back to the why and really bring folks onto kind of your vision, so that they're super excited about going on that journey with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Suva has a question for you. What can IT service providers learn from the world of product management that will help them deliver better services with a product mindset?
This is a good question. So I think that IT service providers and the collaboration that we have with our IT partners really has to be super strong. And right now we're going through an exercise to, in our area specifically, the transactional space, to potentially re-architect the way that our code base works, to really modularize that in a way that allows us to move even faster. And I think those collaborative conversations with your engineering and IT partners are so lucrative to ensuring that you're both kind of moving in the right direction. And I actually always love, we often run Google design sprints, and for initiatives that we're just kicking off in the discovery phase and going through that exploration. And I really love bringing some of our IT partners into that Google design sprint with us, because, although there may be, amazing, ideas and visions coming out of product and UX, there's also really amazing ideas and visions coming out of IT, right? So I think really ensuring that you've got that collaborative partnership, and trying to see how you can kind of foster that relationship and kind of start to engage as early as possible. And that just may be one or two individuals. Maybe it's your IT tech lead. Maybe it's your main engineering stakeholder, but bringing those folks in as early as possible in the process, again, to really ensure that you're coming up with, the greatest and kind of most delightful experience you can come up with for, your customers or businesses, whoever you're building for.
Great. Thank you for the questions. I have a question for you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
You're a formidable force as a female leader in product management. What is your advice to women in product?
Yeah, I think oftentimes, I think being in the grocery space, I was often the only female at the table for many, many meetings. And I think one of the things that I think is just really important to do is to stay true to who you are and kind of be your authentic self, and really ensure that, maybe your your mentor or sponsor that you're working with might also be another female in a leadership position, that can really continue to advocate for you, right? And I think that kind of all goes back to ensuring that you're being given those opportunities to hopefully level up in your career. And, the two organizations that I mentioned earlier, Women in Product, and they have multiple chapters. So I'm in the East Bay, they've got an East Bay chapter, but they have multiple chapters that you can join that are local to where you are. And I would say that is an amazing opportunity to get involved. And the network of executive women is also all across the country. That's another amazing female-led organization that offers just so many opportunities for folks to network and really just kind of get grounded in maybe some of the unique challenges that women face in various disciplines, product being one of them, and really how to overcome those so that, again, you always have a seat at the table and, a voice that is valuable.
That's amazing advice. I hope the ladies noted that information down. I have another question from Anuj. Can you talk about people managers moving to product management? Folks have shared their hesitancy of losing their people management skills, as well as the perception that product management is an IC role. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I think that product, even in the principal role now, which is somewhat new to product in the last few years, have a people component to it. And if you are very keen on continuing being a people manager, although it may take a bit of time to kind of move through kind of being a product manager and then a senior product manager, moving into that principal or director role where you're actually managing people, I do think that even those earlier product roles, even though they may not directly report to you, again, it's kind of leading with influence versus authority. I do think you are still constantly working on those people management skills, right? Even if they don't directly report to you. And so I do think that product is one of those unique disciplines that really allows you to do that. And you're not truly an IC, even as, a junior product manager, in my opinion.
We're up on time, but one last question. Akanksha, she wants to ask you, with industry revolution, a 4.0 revolution, what changes has it brought to product management, and any exclusive advice to upgrade yourself in the field of product management?
So I would say never stop learning, right? And you said this before, Neha, the constant curiosity, right, on how to continuously improve in the product space. And, that may be leveling up on technology, like AI-based technology that, many companies are using now to deliver highly personalized experiences. Whatever that is for you, I think constantly be learning and really never stop, because the industry is changing so rapidly, right? And that's not just the product industry. Whatever business you are in, there are so many competitors out there that, you're constantly kind of chasing. And I think that it would be, if you're constantly learning and really thinking about ways to differentiate yourself, I think that you'll constantly just be feeling excited about going to work every day. And, again, learning something new and, again, leveling up your skills.
Wonderful, Stephanie Urteaga, for coming on and carving out time from your day to do this. I know you're super busy. This was immensely educational. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure our viewers did too. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much, Neha, for inviting me to the conversation and for all of the really insightful questions. I hope that it helped. And I also want to thank Bay One Solutions. You guys have been an amazing partner to Albertsons companies. And, we have hired so many great new product and other folks into our organization that are really helping us deliver, what is that next vision for us. So thank you so much for all of your partnership.
Thank you so much for that endorsement. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And if we didn't get to your questions, please tweet us on our Bay One handle. Next, we're going to do LinkedIn Live on the future of UX design. This is going to be super exciting. Kindly tune in. We're going to have some messaging out on LinkedIn. Till next time, have a great summer.